So this is possibly the #1 reason your vegetables aren't producing, or the first mistake that new gardeners make whenever they're placing their beds. And I'm about to show you how to fix it. A lot of people, they ask me, where do I put my raised beds? I'm just getting started. What should I do? I just got some grow bags. What should I do? I'm about to till up a plot. Where should I put it? Or they say, you know, I started planting last year, gardening last year, and my tomatoes didn't make any fruit. My cucumbers didn't make anything. They grew a little bit. They got spindly. Not a lot happened. So what do you think that issue is? It's right there. Right there. It's the sun. A lot of misplacement on your property, and a lot of urban homesteaders make this mistake because there's trees, there's shrubs, there's landscaping, there's houses. You know, we've got a 2-story house which can block a whole lot of light. And so one of the first things we did was we sat down and we figured out how the sun travels across our property. And then we decided to align our beds there and how to do that. So one of the first things I did was I did a little bit of research, and I found that there's an app. It's called the Sun Calc App, and I downloaded it. This app is not sponsored. There are actually other Sun Calc apps or other apps that'll track the sun for you. But this was the #1 that was available. I used it. I downloaded it. And from there, we learned that, you know, our backyard, which makes sense because it's in the southwest, gets most of the sun, right? And the northeast gets the least amount of sun. So we needed to place our beds back here where they got the most amount. Our greens were up there. So we planted our sunflowers because they wanted the most amount of sun. And then we planted the greens kind of in their shade. Also, we learned why our flowers weren't doing as well in the northeast side. You know, they were still kind of blooming and things like that, but they were a little bit spindly. Then we looked at our mother's yard, my mother's yard, and noticed that her front yard is not usable, but her backyard totally is too, even though her house is positioned a different way. So stay with us. I'm going to guide you through this process. It's 1 or 2 simple steps. How to use the app, and then how to go from there. Okay guys, there are 2 versions of this app. I'm going to show you really quick the phone version and then the desktop version. Personally, I prefer the desktop version because I'm more visual, so it's a lot larger. But basically, just Google the app or put it in your app store or whatever. It'll come up, download it, it'll open up, and then you want to go to your settings. And your settings have different types of maps, right? I want to go to the satellite. Like I said, I'm very visual. Then select your location, right? So let's check, we're in Oklahoma. Let's go to Norman, Oklahoma. You can, if you want, put your own address in and it will get all the way down into the nths with that thing, right up to your house. So we're going to pick a rando neighborhood, rando house. Okay. There we go. So let's say we're at this house right here. And we're narrowed down on it, right? And so what is this telling you about this house? It's telling you that the sun sweeps across. See if I can move. It won't let me. Let me try again. But it sweeps across the front yard and the backyard is shaded, right? Because the house is south oriented. Let me see here. So we'll do sunset. There we go. So you can kind of, we'll click sunrise. That's where the sun comes up. Peak level, so right at noon. And then sunset. And you can see how the sun sweeps across that yard. So it's a really good indicator of where you should put your plants. That really applies to this little house in this neighborhood. Let's move it right up here. Somebody's got a big old yard, right? And so you can kind of see where their sunrise is, their noon sun this time of year, and their sunset, right? So they know that they need to plant at the back end of their backyard and not up towards the house, unless they want to put some shade-loving greens or something like that right there close to the house. So it kind of gives you a good idea of where to position your raised bed, where to start your new garden. We're lucky. Ours was in the back, so not a lot of people see it. If you got a HOA or something like that, they might get all, I don't know, a little upset that you've started plowing and planting in your front yard. So stay tuned, guys. We're going to switch right over to the desktop version, and you can kind of see the difference and how I feel it's a little bit better. So you can see why I prefer the desktop version more. This is zooming in. And this gives you a better idea, right? You get a much larger picture. And it also, this yellow right here kind of gives you that sweep, right? So you know that the sun rises here, that we're currently right here. We're going to be about here midday. And then right over here, we're going to sunset. So I know that in the back of the property here is where I need to plant and build my beds, and that there's a little bit of room right here, so I need to put some more beds there, which I did. And there's some partial shade in this area, and this is that northeast area right here that I can't use. It's just yard, I just mow it. But it's that easy. You just punch your address in over here, hit zoom in, and it'll give you a nice big picture. What I did with mine was I put it in, and then I used the snip tool, and I snipped it, and I made a big poster, printed it out, and then we looked at it and we started drawing on it. Where do we want to put our beds? What do we want to do? So I hope this really brief and easy tutorial kind of helped you guys understand it's not rocket science. Somebody's done all the work for you. They've already done all the thinking. Or, it's even, if you got the time and if you've been on the property long enough, you know where the sun goes across in the winter and in the summer. You know how these things happen. And you kind of got a good feel for it. So, all right. Well, thanks for coming with us, guys.